We're live.
Hey.
Hey, my buddy, how's it going?
Okay.
How was your, how, it was alright, could have been better.
Yeah,
Could have had family here, didn't, but how was yours?
it was kind of quiet. I worked all
Quiet?
week. Worked my butt off. And so for me, the holiday is I don't have to work. That's my holiday. So
You had to work a lot more
I have
before
to work
Christmas.
more during the holidays, of course.
So by the
So,
time you get your day off, or your days off for Christmas, all you want to do is rest, right?
right. I'm getting feedback. Hold
I
on.
am too, yeah, I'm hearing my own voice here. Technical difficulty, we'll fix it up.
So anyway, I'd like to say a happy holiday or happy. Hope everybody had a happy holiday. I can't say.
Holiday, wait a minute,
I can't
holiday.
say. I can't. You can't say Merry Christmas anymore. Didn't you know that? You can't say Merry Christmas.
Oh,
Hold on.
all right. Yeah, I'm getting
I
technical
gotta.
difficulty here. I'm getting my voice thrown back at me. I don't like that.
Yeah,
I want everybody else to hear it, but I don't want to hear it myself.
gotta mute it. No, I mean, the new politically correct way is, have a happy holiday. Can't say Merry Christmas. Have a. You're gonna have a holiday party. Can't say you're gonna have a Christmas party. Didn't you know it's all changing? Everything's changing.
I muted my end of the podcast, so
Okay.
that's what we have to do. No, I still hear it. Muted, huh? I need my technical guy here. Technical guy. Where's our technical guy?
You need to completely mute it.
Okay, that was our technical guy there, our producer. I didn't hear what he said. Oh. All right. Oh, see, I'm mute. Maybe I got it now.
Okay.
Are you good, buddy?
I'm good.
No, I don't. That's okay.
Just turn your sound all the way down.
I did. I don't see a mute button. I can hear you again. I can hear myself again. So we need.
Okay.
Okay. I don't have a mute button. All right. All I get is Bluetooth. Sorry, everybody. I'm talking to technical guy. Sorry.
All right. Well, if you can't do it, turn the video off, and I'll tell you any live. Well, this country will go into a third world country. What'll happen?
Well, I mean that depends on whether you believe in. Well, we had someone ask, what do we believe will happen to the world if the United States defaults on its debt, like to China? I necessarily don't think we're going to do that. But what would happen? Would China would take us over? They would own us. They own us now, as far as
They
the debt's
already
concerned.
own
We owe so
half the
much
country.
money.
Right.
Right. So we owe so much money to China. I don't even know the dollar amount. It's so much. So if we had a default, wouldn't that say China would own us? They would own us. Just like if you default on a loan, they come and get your car, your house, whatever. So they would own us. But I don't see us defaulting. I mean,
China already owns half the real estate in this country. People don't even
right.
realize that. They're buying up more and more stuff.
I'm sure they are.
They owe so much to China,
I mean, they own probably half, if not more, of New York City.
which I never understand. I'm not an economist. I don't understand how we sit there and we have to borrow all this money from somewhere like China, but we can lend money to other countries. I don't understand how it all works. It'd be like, you know, I'm gonna borrow money from you, you know, but I don't know. I don't understand how it all works. So.
Well, and for me, I just don't. I don't see it happening. We know what we're doing. We know how much debt we're in, and we don't, as a country, we don't seem worried about it. But again, if it would happen, the only thing I could say to that is these, especially China. That's who we owe most of our debt to. They would get, like we owe them $1 trillion.
Well,
you know?
in another way,
And
you could look at it as we own China, because what would happen if we suddenly stopped importing everything from China? If they stop,
then they collect on our debt.
oh, they collect on our debt, but they can't afford to lose us. Everything we buy and purchase in this country, 85% of everything that you buy in Walmart is produced in China. What's China going to do if suddenly we buy nothing from them? I don't know what we would do. I mean, you couldn't even go buy a toothbrush right now if China didn't make it. So can China really afford to cut us off? No.
Well, no, not like you're saying it. But if we would cut them off, then wouldn't they get? They could get upset and say, "Okay, we want your loan paid off." So we can't pay it off as a country. So now they take over that way. So they would just come back at us with that. I don't really know how it works. Like, you know, do we make monthly payments to them or, you know, yearly payments to them? I don't know.
Monthly
how that
payment
works.
on $1 trillion, I wonder.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
How is it? Because that's what we owe them, $1 trillion.
Yeah. Yeah. It used to be a half a trillion, and now it's $1 trillion. And so.
And then with the new tax law that our president, Trump, just passed, we will go $1.5 trillion in more debt.
Yeah, I don't
$1.5 trillion more debt. That's just from one piece of legislation that he passed. One. Because that's the only thing he passed in a year, but it's going to affect Medicaid. So if anyone out there on Medicaid, it's going to affect that. Not right now, but in the next anywhere from 2 to 5 years, your Medicaid is not going to be cut completely. It's going to be cut, which means they're not going to pay for certain things. And who has Medicaid? The elderly and the poor.
Yep.
And then after several years, no, not tomorrow, now they're going to get into Medicare. Who has Medicare? The elderly, the poor elderly, and
on disability.
Right, and it's going to eventually cut into Social Security. So anyone out there thinking, oh, this tax bill, it's so great, it's going to give you more money. It's going to give you more money to the average person making $50,000 to $75,000 a year. You will see a $30 to $40 increase in your pay for about 2 years.
What has to be cut up? Social Security. Oh yeah, well exactly.
We have a viewer saying it's not a question of if, it's mathematical certainty. That what? I'm not sure. What? Oh, the Medicare has to be cut? No, it doesn't. Cut somewhere else. You know, cut the programs out there that are, why does it take this long for ketchup to come out of the bottle? Why does a toddler fall off of their tricycle? I mean, seriously, let's cut those programs. Let's cut some of the money that we give all over the world for I don't know what. But when you start taking away from people who are already poor, you can't do that. There's many, many, many other ways to help pay off the deficit. Let's legalize marijuana in the whole country. There's some money for the government. But no, you can't take away something from people who already have nothing. If you don't have Medicaid and you're already poor, you will die. You will die. I've known several people in my lifetime that have literally died at a younger age because they had no health insurance.
My sister-in-law died because she had no insurance, so she needed a liver transplant. If she had had insurance, she would have been put on a list. Without having the insurance, she had to have $35,000 to be put on the list. Now, if you don't have insurance, it's because you can't afford to get insurance. So who's going to have $35,000 to be put on a list? And some of the cuts they can make is, why are we treating all of our senators and congressmen like royalty? Why are we paying senators? They go into the Senate for 2 years, boom, they have a pension.
Right, after 2 years, they have a pension.
2 years, they have a pension. Half of the House are multimillionaires already, and yet we're paying them these huge salaries so they can eat in 5-star restaurants. My whole thing has always been, if you want to be a representative of the state and you want to represent your people of your state, why don't we take an average income of what that state is, and that's what we pay you. And let's see how many people want to be a senator or a congressman.
Well, there'd be some, because I believe a lot of senators and congressmen go in thinking they're going to help. And once they get in, they see, oh, you know what? I can't help. The system isn't like that.
Well, I heard someone one time, and I don't remember who he was, but he had been a senator or congressman for a long time, and he was on a radio show. And he said, he's seen some very good people come into Washington, new people. And he said after about a year or so, they just fall right into the system.
Yeah,
and
they're forced to.
Yeah, and they just become one of them. I mean, they're treated like royalty. They're driven around. They're chauffeured around. I mean, I don't know.
I think they should take, let's just, any state. Okay, do the average of that state, the very average of what people make in that state. Okay, so let's say we're going to pay the senator $60,000 a year. Mm-hmm. And we will fly you back and forth from your state to Washington, D.C., right? And we will also pay for your hotel because, you're forced to go to Washington, D.C. But beyond that,
they have to stay here.
You're not going to get all the Secret Service and the 5-star restaurants and the 5-star hotels and the giant salary. So there's just one of thousands of things that could be cut rather than bother, like, health care for children. Right now, to my knowledge, CHIPS, a program for children, poor children that have insurance, is gone. And to my knowledge, the president hasn't signed it back up. So we have literally thousands and thousands of children that don't have insurance. Do we cut them too? We can't cut anymore from the working class and the poor in this country.
Well, unfortunately,
and Trump's new tax bill will do exactly that. And for anybody listening that doesn't believe that, please, please, please research it. Research it. Because within 5 years, the working man and woman will suffer on their paycheck. They will suffer. And millionaire and billionaires like Donald Trump and all the rest will benefit. It's a fact. So this new tax bill, that he gets up there saying, oh, it's not going to help me. Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Within 5 years, the top 1% will get more tax cuts than the secretary working for them. And we just can't, I know this country is in a bind, and I know a lot of people say, we got to quit the entitlements. They're not entitlements, it's the government. Like I always say, I compare the government of this country to our parents. Our parents, do everything they can to better their children's life, to help them. And that's what the government is. Not to, we all know there are people out there that sit on their butt and they want handouts. There always have been those people. There always will be those people. But there's more of them that can't find a job, or find a job that pays for their family. They're married, they have 2 children. They can't work for minimum wage. They can't. So what I'm saying is, the people that say entitlements and you get free stuff, and free stuff and free stuff. No, we have to help the people in this country that need help.
Well, we're such a.
We can't keep taking away from the poor anymore. We can't. Go ahead.
We are such a giving country, to other countries. But what are we doing for our own people? There's a disaster somewhere in the world, and there's a ton of aid being flown into that country. But we're a wealthy country, and yet, we've got people that are dying because they don't have insurance. You've got kids going to bed hungry.
Don't get me started on insurance.
Yeah, don't get started. Well, like I said, I lost. My sister-in-law died. She didn't have to die. She lived in a wealthy country.
Well,
she didn't have to die.
There are many people out there, that say, you know what? If you don't work and you don't contribute to society, you shouldn't get health care. My doctor, who I adore, he believes that way. Okay, but no, if you want to live in a nice house, drive a nice car, go on vacations, then you have to work for it. You have to work for it, or you don't get it. But to get insurance to stay alive, I don't care if you live under a bridge and you've never contributed a penny to society. You should not be denied health care. Work for the rest of the stuff, yes, absolutely. But to keep yourself alive, to keep young children alive, no. Oh, yeah. Not when these other countries, it's been proven that they have health care and for the whole country, and guess what? They're doing fine.
I worked with someone from Thailand, and she was actually just telling me the other day, many parts of that country are very poor, but if you go to the hospital, she says if she goes to the emergency, it costs her $1. If I'm over there visiting, I went over with her to Thailand to visit, and something happened, and I went to the emergency room. Do you know what it cost me? Just someone visiting? $5 to go to the emergency room, because all of their medical is paid for. It's all paid for. And my whole thing is when you hear about the government waste that goes on, we say, well, we can't afford to pay for people's insurance. And just like the stuff we were talking about before, the government waste that goes on, if we clean up a lot of the waste, how much money are we wasting on programs that are not necessary. They're not necessary. We don't, just like you're talking about, we don't need these people that are given research grants to do these ridiculous. I mean, when was it? back in the 60s or something, you know, they did a research, you know, well-known one, a couple that's like, you know, how does a bumblebee fly? What makes a frisbee fly?
Yeah,
I don't really care. I don't really care if
Or
you're
they put
in the
a
hospital.
shrimp on a treadmill. Look it up. They have a shrimp on a treadmill, and I don't know what they're trying to find out, how fast that shrimp can go, or does he get, you know, out of breath? I don't know what that shrimp is on a little treadmill for. But those, you know, cut those ridiculous programs.
Right.
Cut them.
Right. And just, I think if you really
Legalize marijuana countrywide. You know how many tax dollars they get from that? Put that into the healthcare system to give people health care. No one in this country should die because they have marijuana. No child should go to bed hungry in this country. Not one.
Can't legalize marijuana. Why is it Bob's responsibility to pay Dave's bills? Why are we paying?
I really appreciate your input, Jader and Rebel. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Sorry if I'm not.
Why is our responsibility to save every other country out there, but we can't save our own?
I don't look at it as why does Bob have to pay everybody's bills. Tax money goes to, you know, all kinds of things. That's what makes the country work, our tax dollars. So it goes to multiple things. But I guess what I'm saying is we're paying our government workers so much. We're paying them so much to retire after 2 years, our senators, if they choose to. There's so many places to take to stop the programs that can be put into helping the working class man or woman who's struggling.
I forget
or
what
that mother that has a couple children. They can't work because if she works at a minimum paid job, she has no health care for her children. You know, if a woman wants to go to work and make $8 an hour, okay, she can't do it because now her 2 children lose their health care. Okay, so at least say, okay, you go work for $8 an hour and we'll give your kids health care. I mean, I understand what you're saying about why should Bob pay Dave's bills. I totally understand that. But we just can't let our working class and poor people, we just can't cut into them anymore. We can't.
Well, let's give
if we do, one second. If we do, eventually we're going to have an all rich and wealthy society, and the lower class, and I mean working class people, and the poor, they're going to be gone. And some people want that.
The elitists want that.
The elitists, they want that. They, you know, we're nothing to them. The middle class and low class are nothing to them. And believe me, I don't want to sound like Trump saying believe me, but believe me, there are many people, some in our government, that want that.
Oh, absolutely.
They want that.
They want 2/3 of the world's population eliminated because to them we are just rodents. Back to the point of some of the government waste. You know, when we shot the missiles, what was it, 6 Tomahawk missiles over to where we blew up the airfield. Supposedly blew up the airfield.
We blew up some dirt, but good.
Yeah, we blew up some dirt. We sent, I think it was 60 or 59 missiles over in the 50s. Okay, at $1 million a missile. 50,
and we literally blew up some dirt.
Yeah, we put some.
That airport was open within several hours. We didn't do anything. Not that I want to see anybody killed. I don't, but we didn't harm anybody. We didn't even harm their airport. They were open in like 4 hours. We got another question.
We spent $60 million on that, and we spend 60%. I think it's 60% of our budget is spent on the military. Not that I don't want a strong military, but things like they didn't even bat an eye at that. $60 million when it comes to military spending, they don't bat an eye on it. We've got bases all over the world that we don't even need. I heard I think he was a retired admiral, saying we could close 50% of the bases in different parts of the world. We don't need them. And this was an expert. He was a retired admiral. So when it comes to the military, sure, we need to build up a strong military. But at the same time, you know, when you shoot 60 missiles over that don't do one thing, but try to make a statement, and it's $60 million, wow, $60 million could go to a hell of a lot of health care.
Right, a lot of health care.
Right.
Okay, to answer question, the elites actually want a welfare system. If people are dependent on government rather than each other, then the government owns them. 16% of the government budget is military, and yes, we can cut the military. We don't need a world empire. 52% of the budget is welfare. I believe the government, what you said, would like to control us. The elite government would like to control us. But isn't that what we have to stop? I mean, that's what's going to happen. If they start, you know, like taking away everything, and then people start, not literally, but start begging for help. You know, please help me. I need insurance, or my child's dying, or my wife's dying. And they do have us. They do have us.
And it was my mistake when I said 60%. I meant 16%. So it was that was a mistake on my part. Well, we also have to figure out why we have so many people on welfare. You know, why do we have so many people on welfare?
Well, I mean, okay, we, like when Obama was president, you know, the Republican Party is like, you know, under him, we have a terrible economy. You know, no one can find jobs. Okay, that's all they would talk about, is how bad the economy was. There's no jobs out there for people. And then they turn around and say, we have to cut welfare. We can't have this many people on welfare. But can you have it both ways? Can you say the economy's bad, we don't have enough jobs, and at the same time say we can't help these people that want to work and can't find jobs?
Well, we had Obama there. Everybody couldn't find jobs. When Obama took over, 500,000 people per month were losing their jobs thanks to things put in by George Bush. And
and we don't have the jobs. We have the people. Well, you go back 25 years ago, 30 years ago, how many of those jobs are gone overseas? You know, we used to be proud to be, you know, to make RCA products, and we were like the biggest electronic, weren't we? I mean,
well, our country
was founded on making things, and now it's made overseas. So we don't have the jobs, no matter what president. We don't have the jobs.
Yeah. In the early 60s, I think, it was something like, I don't quote everything that I say, but it's close. 72% of all electronics were made in this country. You got into the 80s, it was 3%. And I've always said, you know, this country will never come back to the country it was until we start making stuff again. That's what made our country so strong, was, you know, when we were a manufacturing country. And now they say we're a service country. I don't even know what that means. You know, we don't make anything. You know, it used to be you were proud, like you said. If it was made in the United States years ago, you got the best product in the world if they were made in the United States. Now we depend on China to make the crappiest stuff. But that's where we get it all from. You know, that's made in China. You know, for years, it was made in Japan, or it was made in Tokyo. I mean, we lost it all. You know, there's still there's a few places that are still making American goods, but very small. And so until we...
Well, your car manufacturers, your big car manufacturers, Ford, all of them. Okay, yeah, they still have factories around, but you know, they don't realize that so much of that car is made overseas.
Well, I love it when people say, "Oh, I don't buy foreign cars. I only buy cars that are made in America."
Yeah,
well, you know what? You know, yeah. I mean, it might be assembled in America, but most of your parts are not made in this country. You know, for Ford or anybody else.
But at one time, you could say that.
Yeah, and Honda.
Yeah.
I said
No, I was
Honda,
gonna say one. No. Go ahead.
Honda, Hyundai, I believe maybe Toyota. I mean, I have a Hyundai. It's, it has a huge plant in this country. It was even featured on Modern Marvels as one of the most modern factories in the world for making cars. The foreign companies come here and make the cars. But as far as, you buy an American car, where do you think the radio's made at? Think it's made in, Montana? No, it's made in China. I knew somebody years ago, even before, this was 20 years ago, and I don't remember the car, but she said, well, I only buy American cars. Well, I looked it up, and it's like the engine was made in Mexico. The chassis was made somewhere else. The only thing that was made in the country were the wheels and tires and the brakes for it. The rest of the car was made everywhere else, but it was assembled in this country. But she thought she had an American car.
Right. And I think a lot of people, you think, oh, I'm going to go buy Ford, Chrysler. Oh, I'm going to buy American. You're not anymore. At one time, you could say that. I think the tech guy sent you a text. You can't. I remember like 25 years ago, my mother was, she would go in a store to buy a TV or even a blouse. I was actually with her once, and she's like, where are your blouses, your clothes that are just made in America? Oh, over here, over here, over here. And my mother, for as long as she could, would only buy American-made products. Right?
Right.
I challenge you to go do that now. You can't do it. American greeting cards, which Walmart sells, they make all their greeting cards overseas. Walmart will not even deal with a card company that doesn't make them overseas because they don't want to pay a higher price for these birthday cards and whatever. So their biggest retail with that is American greeting cards because they make them overseas. So it's very hard to find something that is totally made in this country. Can't do it. If you try to do it, you're not going to have much. You're not going to have much.
And one of the listeners writes, we would have to practice an era of protectionist tariffs if we wanted to bring back manufacturing. Yeah, we pay too much tax.
We pay the tax. They don't. They don't pay it to send to on ours. Yeah, we pay it to send things over there.
Right.
But we don't charge them the same amount, right? I mean, so let's change that.
I'm not exactly sure.
Trump said he was going to do. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Well, Trump can say he's going to do all this, but Trump still has all his factories and
his ties. He makes ties.
Right. And
overseas.
I said if he wants to make us believe him, why don't you're being the real estate mogul that you are, why don't you bring your factories and put them in New York and put people to work and make your ties and your fruits and your champagne or your wine or whatever it is you make and show everybody that you're the first one to do it.
Lead by example. Like, look, I'm going to bring my tie factory over here. I'm going to bring my shirt factory over here. The bottled water, I'm sure that's not manufactured here either. Let's start with you, Mr. President. Bring your companies over here. Nope.
It's quite obvious that, you can, of course, everyone goes to China, Mexico, and everything because they can manufacture stuff for so much less. They pay workers so much less, of course. But, yeah, if you're going to do that, then tax the hell out of them if they're going to sell it here. Let's tax the hell out of the company. I mean, you think about how many employees somebody like Apple has, and think of how many employees that could bring back. And then you hear, oh well, if they make it in the country, then that iPhone now costs you double. That's right, because now Apple has to make a few more $1 billion in their. Everything's gone out of whack. in this country.
But the iPhone wouldn't cost you double unless they wanted it to. It would just, it would just make Apple making a few less $1 billion a year profit. Maybe even just 1 billion less, and they won't do it.
It's sort of like, when
and that was one of the promises that Trump made. It actually had to do with Apple when he was campaigning. If Apple doesn't bring their manufacturing over here, back over here, we're going to, as he said, tax the hell out of them. Never heard another thing about Apple now.
Well, it's sort of like,
and not to pick on Apple. I mean, there's, and yeah, we need that. We need that free trade. We can't get rid of all of it, But these big manufacturers like Apple, come on, get over here. Let's help this country out now.
Well, they're not in it to, help the country.
No.
They're in it to make their billions. It's
Right.
like when there was all of the talk of increasing the minimum wage, and McDonald's says, well, if we increase the minimum wage, you're going to pay 5 cents more for a hamburger. Okay, I go through the drive-through at McDonald's here and there, and every single time I go through it, the price seems to go up. And I think at this point, people aren't going to notice 5 cents. Or somebody like Walmart says, well, we keep the wages. I saw an interview with one of the CEOs of Walmart. Well, we have to keep, we can't raise the wages too much because that's what helps keep, what you buy low. Has anybody seen what the profits at Walmart is?
I saw it a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, you're dealing with these people that are saying we can't do this because, and then they try to make it sound like, oh, we care about you people. We care about we don't want to run the prices up too much because we care about you getting a good. They make it sound like they care about us. They couldn't give a rat's what about us. I mean, it's all about their profits. And I understand that they're a business, but don't turn around and say, you're saying if we raise prices on our items, you may not come to us. It's not about caring about the people because the prices might be a little higher. And would the prices be that much higher if maybe your CEOs and your big people in Walmart didn't make millions and millions of dollars and get millions of dollars in Christmas bonuses and all that? So if you want to pay Walmart that or your big CEOs, that's fine. But don't turn around and use an excuse that we don't want to raise your prices. We're trying to keep the prices low, so therefore we'll pay our employees crap. To the point that what did you tell me one time? Something our employees and food stamps.
Supposedly, I say supposedly because it may not be true, but that Walmart employees, their basic employees, are the biggest recipients of food stamps in the country because they refuse to pay their workers more. So those are the ones that have to go out and apply for food stamps, even though they're working, but they still can't make it on minimum wage. And Walmart is our biggest retailer in the world, next to Amazon. So they can't pay. I watched a documentary once about it, and they were like, if Walmart paid, say, their employees $15 an hour, their floor employees, their cashiers, it would the box of macaroni and cheese that started out 98 cents a box, right? And they paid their employees $15 an hour. That box of macaroni and cheese would go up to 99 cents. It would go up 1 penny. And not just the macaroni and cheese, maybe something else would go up a penny. Something else would go up a penny. But now they're paying their employees a livable wage. And now they may profit $1 billion a minute instead of $2 billion a minute worldwide, or $1.5 billion. So they don't want to take any loss on their profit. And so for being the biggest retailer in the world, they still pay their employees bad, poorly.
Well, and I just looked up that profits, or not profits, but the Walmart chief, Doug McMillon, last year, and I guess he's the CEO, was paid $25.6 million.
Who's this?
CEO. He's, I guess, the CEO of Walmart. He was paid $25.6 million a year. Because that's fine. Okay, if you want to pay your CEO that much money, that's fine. But that's one of the reasons that you can't pay your employees more, because your CEO is making $25.6 million a year. So, you know.
Oh, we have some comments here. Salaries only make up 15% of a factory budget. Regulations take up a much more significant portion. If they build a factory in China and pay the workers a third of what they pay Americans the cost of, it may seem low at first, but then you have to add in the cost of loading all that product on a ship and move it across the ocean. Another one, if Apple, for example, were to ever bring manufacturing back to the U.S., the manufacturing process would only become more automated, which would not help us create more jobs. Minimum wage workers do get food stamps. The cutoff for food stamps is $14,000 a year. As long as a person makes less than $14,000, they can get food stamps. Minimum wage was never designed to be a living wage. If you want to make more money, work hard and ask for a raise. Okay, the last comment, if you want to make more money, work hard and ask for a raise, that's bullcrap. That is big bullcrap. There are millions of people that work hard. They work very hard, and they don't get a big cost of living raise. They don't make enough money to live not a luxurious, a comfortable life. And they work very hard. So, that's what a lot of, your elitists want to say. Work hard and you can be anything.
I've been working the same job over 30 years. I make basically the same, if not less, than I did 10 years ago. Now add in the cost of living to that. And, 10 or 20 years ago was gas. What was the price of a gallon of milk? The salaries have flatlined since the 70s. So you can work as hard as you want, but everything else is going up exponentially faster.
Well, they compare today's wages to the 70s. And like you just said, comparing the 70s to now, people aren't making that much more.
No,
they aren't.
They're not.
And everything, the cost of living went up. Everything goes up. And if you compare them, you really, in certain jobs aren't making that much more.
Because it used to be you had factories, you had people that could work in the, automotive factories, in the assembly factories for electronics and things like that. They made a good living. They had good benefits. And then boom, in the 70s, when things started going over the 70s and 80s and everything started going out of this country, towns closing up, things like that. Nothing was manufactured. Now it's like, oh, I've worked, 10, 20 years for this company, and, I was an assembly line. Well, there's no factories to work at anymore. And that's my whole point. When you go to some of these places and see, Detroit, I saw a film on Detroit where, places of Detroit were like a ghost town. I remember when Michael Moore did one of his first films, and he was from Flint, Michigan, and he went back to Michigan, which used to be, car manufacturing and all that, and he would just go down, and the whole, All the houses were boarded up. All the stores were boarded up. Everybody left because they had no jobs. And all of those jobs had gone overseas. And so we can have all the tax regulations and everything else we want.
But that guy is contacting you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But, you know, I will still say, this country's never going to be, you know, the country that it was until we start until we figure out how to make it where companies don't want to go to China, don't want to go to Mexico. We're always gonna have trouble.
We got a comment. The laws of economics work like this: the salary remains low if there are more job seekers than there are jobs. Wages increase if there are more jobs than job seekers.
Yeah, because the jobs aren't here. The jobs aren't here.
If I understand the comment right, but we don't have the jobs. That's kind of what we're talking about. So many jobs are gone. You know, if you take a state like Ohio, okay, I know someone that lives there, and Ohio has always been what they call a factory state. You know, factory after factory after factory. They're gone. Those factories are shut down and gone. The people are still there. The jobs are gone. I don't know if they went overseas. I don't know if they shut down for another reason. But you don't have the jobs. So maybe I'm not understanding the comment, and I apologize for that. But you know, we do have more job seekers than jobs today. We do. And then look at all the jobs that go, you know, to the robots. You know.
Well, it used to be, and maybe because I'm old school, it used to be, and you know this personally, you could come out of high school, you know, you could get a job.
What are you trying to say, I'm old?
No, what I'm trying to say is you have people in your family that did this. You could come out of high school, maybe not even out of high school. If you knew somebody that worked for Ford Motor Company or somebody else, they could get you a job. And within a couple of years, you're making good money, you know? And if you stay there, you can support a family and you get good benefits. Now, as you told me, oh, you're going to go to work for Ford Motor Company in an assembly line. They want somebody with a 4-year degree. See, not everybody can or wants to go to college.
Right. So now what does that person do?
Right.
They go to McDonald's.
And you get somebody for a company and saying, well, I have a 4-year degree and my degree is in, you know, broadcasting or whatever it is. And we have a manufacturing plant here. What good is that degree going to do to manufacture this car? You know, it's not going to do one bit of good. I don't care if you have a 4-year degree or not.
Well, you take the Chris Johnson has some comments. You can read them and you take that, start off.
Okay, who are you going to hire? A guy with experience?
No, I'm sorry, but she started off, or he or she started off with,
okay.
If you raise minimum wage.
Raise the minimum wage to $15. It will not help employees. At $15 an hour, you'll bring in a lot more talent. A very simple job. Okay, how is the people that are working there?
Well, it says, who are you going to hire? A guy with 10 years experience or a high school graduate? Because now that $15 an hour job is more appealing to the more qualified applications. Well, I agree. Go ahead.
Well, I'm going to hire the person with the experience.
So are we saying now that the person that didn't go to college, maybe just a high school graduate, now they can't find a job?
Well, more and more. Well, if you don't anymore, what I'm saying is anymore, if you don't have a college degree in our country, we had a country that you didn't have to have a college degree. in order to, there are people that don't want to work in an office or do different types of jobs on a white collar basis. There are people that were just, they want to do blue collar work, mechanics, your plumbers, electrician, welders. My father was one of the best welders on the East Coast. He didn't go to college, and those kind of things are dying. You used to have vocational schools. Where I live, you had a high school area where, a lot of students would travel from their high school to go there part of the day because they had vocational schools there. That school does not offer any vocations anymore.
Well, I know
they stopped shop class. They don't have shop class anymore because it's like they don't want people to learn how to work with their hands. I work with my hands. I don't. I'll say to everybody. I studied architecture and engineering, and I decided I didn't want to do that. And now I do a job where I work with my hands.
Well, another thing, I know four people that in the 70s got a job at a big car, it was Ford Motor Company. They walked in, filled an application, was hired right off the street. Today, if you walk into Ford Motor Company, you have to pass all these tests and be a college graduate, and they don't hire you off the street anymore. Okay, and to Chris's comment, she's saying if as a company or business, if I have to pay $15 an hour, why would I hire someone with no experience? Well, that's kind of what I'm talking about. The jobs are gone. When you go to college for 4 years, you try to get a job in that profession. They're not there anymore. So many jobs aren't there anymore. They're giving their Ford Motor Company are now hiring those graduates. So the low-paying jobs. I mean, sometimes McDonald's are hiring college graduates because the jobs aren't there. The jobs used to be here. They're not here. There's so many jobs. Now we have all these people. They can't find a job. So you have college graduates, seriously, that are trying to get in McDonald's, at least, for a while because jobs aren't there. And it is pushing, like I agree with Chris a lot in the sense, if I have a college graduate and somebody only went to high school, of course I'm going to pay the college graduate $15 an hour. They're more educated. Why would I want to pay, someone with no education? But those jobs shouldn't be competed for. I mean, you used to get the high-paying jobs because you got an education, and now those educated people, they're lining up for those lower-paying jobs, and it's not working out. So now you have this whole class, seriously, of poor people that want to work, but they're in competition with your highly educated people, or someone who worked in a job, for 10 years, and they went to college for it, and now that job went under. So now they're out there looking for jobs that used to be for your lower, middle class, uneducated people. They're not there. To say that all the people on welfare or food assistance are lazy, which I've heard so much in my life. I mean, I'm not on welfare, but they're lazy. They're lazy. Yeah, some of them are. Always have been, always will be. They want to lay around, collect money from the government. But so many of them can't find the jobs today, regardless of what they pay, because you're more qualified and educated people and people with experience are out there trying to fight for those same jobs now because they can't find any.
There you go. There's a comment from our listener. I'm college educated and certified federal depository archivist, and I work delivering pizzas.
And see,
there you go.
That's kind of exactly
I don't know. I'll say
what we're
everybody.
talking about.
I don't
Exactly.
know.
You
all
shouldn't have to be delivering pizzas. I mean, that's a job for somebody. God bless them. But you're college educated, and I'm sure you went on a trade, or you wanted to do something different. Why are you delivering pizzas? It shouldn't be like that. It never used to be like that. You didn't graduate college and deliver pizzas or work at McDonald's.
Well, my whole point
Those
is,
jobs were for the people that were, either young. When I was young, that's all we had at McDonald's and the fast food restaurants, or gas stations. That was that job you get while you're in high school.
right.
Oh, I can make $100 a month. That's money. My parents are keeping me. Now you have people trying to support themselves and families.
Well,
And there's no jobs for them. There's no jobs
that
for
was
them.
the point where, people would say minimum wage was designed for people starting out. And, you went to work at the movie theater, and you went to work at the drugstore and the hardware store and things, and the fast food restaurants, and you got minimum wage. And as you got a little bit more job experience, maybe you rose up in that, or, it gave you work experience and you moved on. But that's the problem now. The problem is that you have all of these people that are highly educated. You have all of these people that are highly motivated that can't find jobs. So these people are working, delivering pizzas.
Well, I like to just say
food.
Decatur and Rebel, which I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I can tell that you're college educated. I can
Right.
tell that you're very intelligent. I mean, that comes across just from what you say. You come across very educated. And no, and I'm not trying to degrade anyone who delivers pizza. But no,
No.
you should not have to be delivering pizzas.
No.
And that's kind of what we're saying. There's something wrong when you're that intelligent and that educated. And
Well, you're not doing what you went to school to do.
no.
That's what you paid the thousands and thousands of dollars to do, and you can't do it because it's not out there.
Right.
And my
in the
whole
70s, that's when I was a teenager. Like I say, those jobs, McDonald's, Burger King, gas stations, those were all for, we went to high school and worked at those jobs.
right.
Oh, we make $100 a week. That's a lot of money.
Or when
No
you
one,
start,
in their 30s or 40s were thinking about getting a job at McDonald's. It was all teenagers. Now you go into McDonald's, you see 40, 50-year-old people working there.
sure, and those people can't survive on a minimum wage. And
There
until
are people
we get
I know
more
that hold 3 jobs.
right.
3 jobs. And they have to work 3 jobs because none of them jobs pay enough. You can't survive. If you can't survive, it doesn't matter how hard you want to work. There are men and women, come on, that want a job. They want to feel like, I'm getting up in the morning, I'm going to work, I'm contributing. They want that, and they can't find it. And if they take that minimum wage job, or even a $9, $10 an hour job, and they have a family, they can't make it.
No,
They can't make it.
no, they can't. And my whole
I know
thing is,
someone that's 35 years old. I know that someone 35 years old has a great job. Okay, he's single, no children, and he's struggling. And he makes, what I would say is pretty good money. He has an office job, but one person, and he's struggling. He's struggling.
I listen.
So, go ahead.
No, go ahead, finish.
No, I want to finish. No, go ahead.
No, I started to say that somebody on a radio show called up, and I identified with him because at the time he was the same age as me, and he said when he grew up, his father was a house painter. He had a brother and a sister. They had a modest house. They weren't rich, but they did fine. They didn't struggle every month to pay the bills. They had a car or 2 cars. And it was sort of like when I grew up. Now, my dad worked 2 jobs. He worked for the airlines, and then he had a part-time welding business. You know, and you know, we were never rich. In fact, we didn't have a lot when we were young, but we got by okay. You know, everybody now, but now, you know, you can't hardly make it if you have 2 or 3 kids. You know, unless you are, you know, making a huge salary, you can't make it on doing that being a house painter, because the jobs and what they pay in relation to everything that, you know, costs. You know, people would buy a house. You told me once what your mom paid for a house. That was many years ago.
$7,000.
Okay, but people,
that was in the
people
70s,
didn't.
But it was $7,000. You can't put a garage on your house for that.
No, but I mean, salaries. I mean, but my point is that the jobs. I lost my train of thought.
I think you were talking about the wages not really going up since the 70s when you factor in the cost of living. No,
well, sure. No, it's not. You can't make the same. You take people weren't paying mortgages for 30 years. My dad, when he built his house that I grew up in, at that time, he paid it off in I think 5 years or 4 years. Okay. People didn't used to pay 30 years on a house, but now when houses cost in my area $400,000 a year, or $400,000 for a house, you know, you don't have people buying houses now, like they did, and you know, that's the whole thing. Is everything has gone up so much in comparison to what people make. And then you have people that, like we talked about before, that they don't want to go to college. Maybe they can't afford to go to college. So they want to work like they used to. You know, they get a good job in a manufacturing plant where you don't have to have a college degree. And, you know, when you tell me
now it's rougher to get in those places, though, than it was 30 years ago.
Well, you're right. That's my point, is why you have to have a college degree to work on an assembly line.
Well, you do.
Right.
You do. And another comment that Cateran Rebel, she goes, yeah, my place is 3 guys living together on a minimum wage. And that's another thing you see. You know, you see people having to live together to pay the expenses, you know. And so either one of these 3 people, they're on minimum wage, they can't live on their own. It doesn't matter if you're single or have a family.
No.
You make a minimum wage, you can't live on your own. And along with people being roommates is you see the big, now more and more, kids going back home. You know, they might be 25, 30 years old. And you see a 30-year-old living with their parents. And to some people, like, oh, that's bad. You know, well, that 30-year-old's working, but he can't live on his own, he or she.
Right.
It's not a bad thing. You know, they have to live with their parents.
The average apartment in the area where I live, if you want a 2-bedroom apartment, I'm not talking about a newly built apartment building. I'm talking apartments that are old, that have been around, you know, years and years. 2-bedroom apartment, 1 bath in my area, $1,600 a month. Okay, you want a new apartment that's, you know, a fairly new apartment? I had a friend that this was probably 5 years ago, had a 3-bedroom apartment. Nothing special about the apartment, you know. The only thing different than I hadn't seen in apartments was it had a security in it. She moved out of there because they were getting ready to raise her rent to $2,200 a month for a 3-bedroom apartment. You know, I mean, it's insane. It's insane. People can't get a 1-bedroom apartment, pay $1,300, $1,400, $1,500 a month, living on a minimum wage.
No, they can't.
No way.
So what do? They get a roommate or 2 or even 3, or they move back in with their parents.
Right. back in the 70s, you could. You could get out of high school. You could go to work for the local factory, whatever in your town. And I mean, how many towns were supported, a big factory there? There were so many towns that just completely fell apart because that town was basically surviving on that big factory there. And, and then of course, all of the small businesses, the cleaners, the laundromat, the restaurants, they all survived on all of those people that worked at that plant. And when that plant went out, that whole town shut down. All of the businesses went out, the houses, people moved away. And just like I said, that documentary that Michael Moore did years ago, Roger and Me, and he went back to Michigan. And it was really sad to see this whole town just boarded up because that town survived on the factory. And that, I don't understand all the tax law and things like that. I'm not, smart in that way, but I have common sense. And the common sense says, if you want to get back to a lifestyle where people were living a good lifestyle, people had an opportunity when they got out of high school, people could get married when they were young, have a kid, have a car, have a decent place to live. That isn't going to happen until we start making stuff again. Until we have a country that we're proud that it came from this country. When we make a radio or anything else or a television, it came from this country. Now you buy stuff, from China, and a lot of that stuff, oh my God, well, it's crap, it's made in China. But, we buy it because there isn't any other place to get it. Because we're not making it here. Nothing's made here. Just pick up everything that you see, made in China. So.
Well, here's a very, very true and interesting. Gator and Rebel said robotics, but the court case ruled that IQ tests were I'm sorry, I got to read the above. Okay. The reason why you need a college degree to work on an assembly line is because of a legal case in which they used to offer an IQ test to the people to see if they were intelligent enough to run the robotics. But the court case ruled that IQ tests were pre-justice. So now they use college degrees as the intelligence test because they cannot use an IQ test. Education and intelligence are not the same. You can be educated but not intelligent, or vice versa. Oh, that's so true.
Oh, that's very true.
And I never knew that, but it does make sense. And I'll tell you, my experience. Again, I knew several people that worked. They got a job at Ford Motor Company in the 70s, right? The one person, they didn't know how to read. They could read like a 5-year-old, but yeah, they could run the machines. They could do their their assembly line. So it makes perfect sense what he's saying because, if you don't take some kind of test, you could actually be stupid, and then now working around the robotics, not understanding it, and so like they're saying. They give that test now because they can't give.
Right, that's true. I mean, I believe that everything, of course, is much more technical, even in factories, because of robotics and things like that. And like I said, maybe I'm old school. It's just, I think it's sad that there's so. I guess that it's a double-edged sword because you have all of this manufacturing with such high-tech robotics and things like that, and the companies say, well, now, we don't need all the assembly line people because the robots do all the work. And
yeah, but we need people who can handle those robots and not.
Right.
Robots are only as good as the people.
Right. We're programming them. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. I don't know what but the fact of the matter is that there are lots of people that are struggling, and they're struggling. And there's more people struggling than ever before. Sometimes I think, we live in a country that people expect to have more. That
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
if you go to
you don't
other
have
countries,
the up-to-date phone or
right.
the up-to-date computer.
We have gotten
Look,
spoiled.
we never had to worry about several $100s a month to watch TV. Yeah, we get better TV, better programming, a couple hundred channels. But see, that's an expense that, in the 70s we didn't have. And to pay for our TV, that was unheard of. To pay all this money for our phone. So now everyone has to pay for their phones, for their Wi-Fi.
Sure.
If they want to have a computer, they have to pay for Wi-Fi. Those expenses didn't, it's a very high-tech world, and that high-tech costs money.
Well, sure. There was a time that I didn't pay for cable, a phone, television, and yes, I'm guilty. I pay for radio in my car, and so, yeah, we've gotten into a higher tech world where things cost more, and we do, expect more because there are other countries where, people don't have everything. We've gotten spoiled in our country.
Well, I know someone that pays, upwards of $350 a month for a cell phone bill. But like they say, well, I can't run my gaming. I can't do this. I can't do that. And see, they grew up on that. These
Sure.
the person I'm talking about, they grew up in the electronic world. That's what they know. So it's like, oh, I can't do this. I can't do that. Well, I have to pay. I have to pay so much more for this. I have to get a higher speed of Wi-Fi. Oh, what if I can't game? What if I can't do this? Or I got to have the recent phone. Not because, I'm this conceited person, but I grew up on electronics. I love the electronic world, and I got to have that new Apple phone every year. And like I say, not because they're a bad person. It's just the way they know. It's what they know. What do you mean? I have last year's model. And again, it's not that they're boastful or they just, that's what they know. That's all they know. Where me, if my phone is if it's working, I don't care. It's, my phone's a couple years old. I'm like, well, it's working good, but some people and I'm going to say it, the younger generation, that's what they know. So they don't know. It's like, no, I can't live without Wi-Fi. I can't live without the newest phone. I can't live without the newest iPad. And that costs money. And so we have to add that on because, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, our listener says, I remember when all the bills bill and the water bill, and it's true.
That's right.
We do expect more. Computers have become not just,
Hello? Oh, we lost our sound. We lost our connection. Our tech guy handle that. I'm sorry, we're having technical difficulties. Hello? I'm not sure if I'm coming through. I've lost the sound to my partner. I need my tech guy. Yes, we have a tech guy. Could someone report back? Hello?
Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. I got disconnected. Did I get disconnected?
Yeah, I don't know if I was still being heard or not.
Okay, I think I got disconnected. What I was saying was...
Wait, they put, tech guy put, we're shut down for 5 minutes.
We're shut down.
Yeah.
So we're not on.
I don't know if you thought we were having.
No, I got a phone call and I think it killed, and I declined it. Maybe that cut us off.
Well, our okay, they're saying they can still hear us. We're still on.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry, I was talking to my guy. All right, we're still on. Good.
No, I was referring to the comment that, you know, you can remember when we can only had our electric bill and our water bill, and you know, I was saying that, you know, I watched my cable bill go up to close to $200 a month until I finally cut the cord and cut my cable. But you know, now I have Wi-Fi type TV, so I don't have to pay the cable anymore, but I'm paying, you know, $80 a month for Wi-Fi, and
you know what it's showing right now? That you and I are just two average people. We're not wealthy. We're not, you know, I'm not college educated, but you know, it's just we talk about things that we hope, that we think that other people are talking about, and that's all we are. See, it shows how basic we are.
right.
You know, we're not, you know, rich people. We're
So
just everyday people.
we're talking about the same things that a lot of people stand around and talk about with their friends or at the water cooler or at the bar, you know, and people are frustrated and, you know, with lots of different subjects. And that's why we do different subjects. It doesn't mean that we're right. It just means that, you know, we like to talk about the same things.
Right. I mean, I would love to have input. You know, we talk about something that someone disagrees with or has an opinion. You know, and I think we both, knowing you, we both love to learn. And a lot of this, exactly, just our opinion, you know.
And think about
talk about what. Go ahead.
Then you think about we were talking about, you know, computers and things like that when we didn't have it. And, you know, there's information right at your fingertips. You know, it's amazing. You know, we've talked about it before. Anything you want to know, you know, you can type it, you can Google it.
Oh, what we're doing right now. I mean, we're live on YouTube. It's like.
But we have to pay for these things.
That takes extra money.
Right.
That takes, you know, a heavier Wi-Fi, more Wi-Fi to carry it out to YouTube. And, you know, I mean, we're doing it of our choice, but yeah, I mean.
Oh, if my Wi-Fi goes out, I'm done. I don't get my TV either.
Yeah.
I don't get my internet or my TV. You know, but
they make it that way.
They make it that way, and this is another thing. This is something that that made me think of something else. And I'm sure you know, the cable companies have their reasons for this. Okay, when this drives me nuts. This drives me absolutely nuts. I cut my cable, okay? But just to have Wi-Fi plus pay for the modem was like $80 a month, okay? So, and then right after I did that, I get the ads and I get them in the mail. I see them on TV. 200 channels, you know, sign up. Wi-Fi, you know, blazing speeds, all this stuff. $89 a month for 6 months or a year. I'm like, wait a minute. I was paying close to $200 a month.
Yeah.
And I know exactly what they're doing. You know, they're trying to get people hooked in. And I'll tell you my little story. I had the same basic cable plan for a few years.
Chris Johnson just said new customers only. That's absolutely right.
Well, absolutely.
You get it all.
New customers only. And here's my story. I had cable, the same cable for several years, the same plan. Okay. I was paying about, with the taxes and all that stuff, you know, that add on another $20 to your bill, I was paying about $150 to $60 a month. And that was for Wi-Fi and cable and most of the HD and most of your basic cable stations, you know, a good variety. So I was having trouble one time with the cable or something, and I called, and the guy on the phone says, well, look, you know, I'm looking at your plan here, and I think we can do better than this for you. And I was like, hey, okay, you know, I figured maybe things have gotten cheaper. So anyway, he does this. He goes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a much better deal, and I'm going to give you a year of HBO. I'm going to give you a year Cinemax and a phone. I'm like, well, I don't really use a phone. I don't use, landline. I don't use a phone. That's why I got rid of my phone, because I didn't want a phone. I just have my cell phone. He says, well, this is going to be a much better deal. And then I said, and how much is all that going to run? He said, well, it'll knock your bill down like, $140. Okay. Wow. Okay. Now he's one of the guys, they're trying to sell you the package. I'm like, okay. Now I get my first bill. My first bill is $194. And I'm like, what? Well, the 140 wasn't including the taxes and all that stuff, which brought it up to 160. And guess what? There's a $30 activation fee for my phone. So now, my $150 to $60, I remember the exact price, bill went from that, and I got a much better deal, because now I'm paying $195. Oh, but you know what? I got HBO that I never watched the whole year. I never watched it because I could never find anything on there one to watch. Cinemax, and a damn phone that I never, ever used one time because nobody called my phone anyway.
I'm sorry, why do these cable companies want a new package and they want to give you a landline? Oh, the landline is free except for activation.
Because here's the thing. Well, this is why. Because first of all, you're going to get that activation fee on every customer they do. Not only that, this is what I heard, once after that year was up, you start paying taxes on that landline. So now you're not getting a free phone anymore. You're paying.
You wouldn't think the cable company would care about taxes.
Well, I don't know how all that works. Who's getting taxes? Things like that.
Off of each $35 activation fee.
Yeah, every single person. No. Well, that was the thing. In order for me to get this plan, and then you look at the plans, and now everything is a package deal. Oh, well, if I want enough channels, I got to get a phone, which I don't want an activation fee and all this stuff. And then it's like, if you don't, to all those people out there listening, get these promotional fees, these promotional packages like that, your 800 channels and your blazing Wi-Fi for $89 a month, you better ask, when does that promotion run out? Because I asked a year in advance. She gave me the date when I decided to cancel my cable. It was a month before it was supposed to run out. And the guy looked on the computer and he says, I said, well, I was told a year ago because I taped it to my desk on where I pay my bills on my computer a year ago. And it said it runs out April 10th. And he says, no. He says, according to my computer here, your promotional packages runs out in 3 days. And I said, what would have happened in 3 days? He says, well, then you're under contract for a year, and your bill, ready? $256 a month.
Wow. See, and if you wouldn't have 3 days.
3 days, $256 a month.
They gave you the wrong date to call them. They purposely did that.
Yeah. It's so I just got, after that, I got so tired of, sometimes I miss, I like the Wi-Fi type network, but there are little things I'm not crazy about. And sometimes I miss the cable.
But you don't miss, it's not only the bill sometimes.
It's not the bill. It's the bill. I just got tired of every time, they're going to shoot this up, or this package runs out. You got to negotiate. You got to work a deal. Let's see if we can find you a good package. What I got out there, you can go on the internet every month. You can change your plan. They activate it. They tell you when that plan starts. It'll start right then. And then for the next month, you have to pay that amount, or they tell you like a month and a half. It depends on when you change your plan. And then after that, If you want to take off the news section, you can take off the news section. If you want to go to a lesser tier, every month you can change it. Nobody's going to talk to you, try to sell you a new package
Right.
or anything.
Right.
You know, and so it has a little downfalls to it, but you know what? I don't want any part of the cable company again. And this Wi-Fi type TV is, you know, the cord cutting is getting more and more popular and more and more popular. Not only that, I went and got an HD antenna so that I could pick up all my local stations. And sometimes I have to move the antenna around. It depends. But if I get a good signal on my antenna, man, it's like, you know, it's HD. It's like watching cable. So I can get my local channels. I can get all the major.
You just don't have the 300 channels.
No, I don't have 800. I don't have 40 cooking channels and, you know, things like that I never watched.
Well,
that's the thing.
I have a great story. Anybody listening, you got to hear this. And Chris said, if you saw my wireless phone bill, you would faint. No, yeah, and that's kind of what we're talking about. It's like just unbelievable. It's just too much. But I have a story, cable story, that is unbelievable. Okay, about 2 months ago, we get our cable bill. It's like $160. And we're like, wait a minute. How did it jump from like 112 or whatever to 160? So I told my husband, I'm like, we have the NFL network because my football team isn't in the same state. So the NFL network, you know, you watch any game. But I thought, you know what? I want to see how much it is, and I'm going to have to cancel it because I was going to pick up enough games, you know. Okay. So my husband calls the cable company. And he's like, I want to cancel the NFL network. This was 2 months ago. The guy on the other end said, oh, well, you can't cancel it. Once it starts, you can't cancel it. Yeah, let me not pay my bill and watch him cancel it. But anyway, and my husband's like, what do you mean I can't cancel it? No, you can't cancel it. So my husband's like, well, maybe I'll just cancel it all. And he goes, well, you know what? Hang on a minute. Let me see what I can do. Oh, there you go. So a few minutes, he comes back. Now, he couldn't cancel the $50 a month charge for the NFL network, right? Couldn't cancel that. But here's what I'm going to do. We're going to take, I mean, it's comical. We're going to take $55 off of your bill every month. How's that work for you? My husband's like, that works just fine. So they couldn't take off a $50. And I understand, I guess they don't want to cancel NFL Network in the middle of the season. But so they won't take a $50 NFL ticket off, but they take $55 off the bill, monthly bill. Are you there? I think I lost him again. How are you there? He's having technical problems. Oh. But yeah, I mean, I'll keep talking until he comes back. So yeah, I don't understand it. It's like, I think when you threaten to cancel the whole package, and that included cell phones, then they make you a deal, just like a used car salesman, you know? So instead of $50 off, we got to keep the NFL ticket, and our bill's $55 cheaper per month. So we call that getting cake and eating it too. Yeah, and yeah, it is, and it's
okay,
almost
I'm
like
here.
we lost you again.
I got you. I apologize.
But no, I was just saying about how I've told you this story before, but how we can't take the NFL ticket off for $50, but we'll reduce your monthly cable bill $55. And Chris Johnson said we call that getting cake and eating too. Or was she talking about? The USA has the highest taxes in the world. We pay 50% tax rate on everything. Example, a loaf of bread has over 32 different taxes on it. Wow, I didn't know that. Wow. I didn't know that either. We got some very
yeah. Look at your phone bill.
People comments.
Well, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Just look at your cell phone bill. You know, look at your cable bill. Look at all the taxes and surcharges. Most people don't even know, you know, they look at that and they're like, you know, it adds $15, $20 a month sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I
You
guess
know,
like what Chris is saying. Oh, I'm sorry. Cater M Rebel said. 32 different taxes on loaf of bread. I guess it goes like probably locally for the schools, maybe locally for the roads and bridges, and then I guess some of it just goes to the government. Period. And so, but I never. And yeah, how do you have a with a loaf of bread? Well, you have to put that much tax on it. So it isn't the bread that's necessarily costing more. You know,
hmm
like everything, just like cigarettes.
right,
The tax goes up, cigarettes don't go up.
right, right.
I
That was,
mean, I heard that, several years ago when they rebuilt Cleveland Stadium. I forget what it's called, what Cleveland Stadium is called now, but
mhm.
they built that on what they called sin tax. And they used taxes from cigarettes and alcohol to build Cleveland Stadium.
Right.
So
Well,
maybe
that's what
use
we.
a little more of that money, but I think they
Well,
are. They're
well, that's what we talk about. You know,
taxes on a loaf of bread. I mean, that's going somewhere.
well, I mean, we talk about legalizing marijuana, whether you're for legalizing it or not.
I'm
Uh,
for
I
legalizing
mean,
it.
I don't know so far. I did hear one time a year after they legalized it in Colorado, how much they had brought in taxes, and it was a ton of money. That's one way to do it. It's one way to bring in more money for the states. You know,
Oh, it's a lot of money to bring in the state. Come on.
I mean
If they
that's
legalize marijuana countrywide, which I heard they're going to do that in Canada, because you're a criminal in one state, and then you cross the border to another state. Oh, you're not a criminal now. See, to
hmm
me, I know that certain things have to be state voted
right,
on,
right,
but to be a criminal in one state and not another state for marijuana, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me.
right. Well, I guess
So,
we're a country where it's like certain state has a law, and so you have to abide by that law. But I just feel
yeah,
like
but it's one thing if one state, if California has a law where you have to wear a motorcycle helmet, and
uh-huh,
I don't know, Kentucky doesn't. That's one thing.
yeah,
You're not a criminal. You might get a fine,
I know,
but
I know.
when you're in a state where marijuana is illegal, and you go to, let's say, in some cases, prison for maybe 6 months to a year, and your connecting state is legal, you're not a criminal there. You don't have a record now that you were in prison.
Well, it's like
So to
where
me,
I live.
it's a bigger thing than just little state laws. You're a criminal in
Well,
this state and not in that state.
where I live, I'm like 30 minutes from the state line.
And I think we lost him again. He's having difficulties. Okay. I don't know what's going on there. But he'll come back. He's getting disconnected for some reason. We'll have our tech guy try to take care of that. Cater and Rebel. The bell curve shows that the maximum amount of taxes you can get out of people is 17%. If you have the tax rate lower, you receive less taxes, and if the tax rate is above 70%, you get less in revenue. What? No. Let me read that again. The bell curve shows the maximum amount of taxes you can get out of people is 17%. If you have the tax rate lower, you receive less taxes, and if the tax rate is lower, 17%, you can get less in tax revenue. So it's saying that the government is 17%, and if you lower that, I mean, they're not getting it. Oh, the states. Are you talking about the states? If they go below 17%, they don't. If they tax less than 17%, who's shaking their head? Nightbot is shaking my head. I'm trying to wait for Al to come back. Okay, my tech guy just said ignore the Nightbot shaking my head stuff. So if I'm understanding it right, the states have to tax at least 70%, or they don't get revenue from the government. The state doesn't get revenue from the government. Economic formula that shows the perfect tax is a 17% sales tax. I'm still not understanding you, Cateran Rebel. That's my fault. Are you saying that states have to tax 17% in order to get revenue from the government? Yeah, I told you we're not the brightest bulbs in the pack. We just talk. Okay, so like 17% is the perfect amount for the state to make money. So if they made less than that, they would hurt us. So if they charge less than that, they don't make any revenue. It has nothing to do with state versus federal. It's the total tax efficiency. So if they don't charge 17%, they don't make money. Or 17% is the perfect. So if they charge more, they won't get back more. If they charge less, 70%, they'll get back more. If I understand it right. I still lost my partner here. I don't know. Tech guy, can you check on that? He's gone. No, I know. I'm just asking. Do you want to check on? No, I know. I'm sorry. I'm talking to my tech guy. In case you guys, I'm getting a message from him saying he can't get back on. Tech guy. No, he wouldn't be doing that. I apologize. I'm talking.
Okay, I'm back on. I'm back on. I apologize.
No problem. We're just wondering where you were.
Oh well,
Just a bad. Sometimes we get a bad connection, and tech guy trying to handle it.
What are we talking about? Because I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah. Well, I got on. I told you these are some great people. No. If I understand Cateran Rebel right, the 17%, he's like, the states have to charge 17% in order to get, I guess, revenue, and it's just like a perfect amount. 17%, the perfect amount. And when he says it has nothing to do with the state, it has nothing to do with the state versus federal. It's the total tax efficiency. So if you,
Go ahead.
No, he wrote earlier the bell curve shows the maximum amount of taxes you can get out of people is 17%. If you have the tax rate lower, you receive less taxes, and if the tax rate is above 70%, you get less in tax revenue. I just want to say again, our people commenting tonight, very aware of everything, very intelligent, making me look stupid. No, I mean, there's, like I say, there's some, we're not here to say we're to know everything. We're here to hopefully gripe what everybody else is griping about, and hopefully, like they're doing tonight, commenting and God, I'm learning stuff from them. So, I think it's great, and
I just want my cable to lower.
I don't know anything about tax rate part.
I don't need it. I just want my cable bill lower. I know.
Your cable bill.
Well,
you know what? We only have about 15 minutes left, so our subject for tonight that we advertised was, did we say Merry Christmas?
Mm-hmm.
And so you want to touch on that a little bit before we go?
Well, yeah, we've gotten to a point where people are afraid to say Merry Christmas, since it's been the holiday season, and you have all of these, and I've known people who work for companies that you can't say Merry Christmas to your employees. You have to say Happy Holidays, and I'm sorry, but my feeling, I understand when they have a company party and they just want to call it a holiday party, because they have people from all different religions, and we live in a global society now, and we have so many people from other countries that live and work in this country. But when I've grown up in this country, and Bob that I work with celebrates, the employer says, no, you can't say Merry Christmas to Bob because you're gonna make so and so over there feel uncomfortable.
You're going out.
Huh?
We keep losing you. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, our tech guy is working on it, but we keep losing you.
I'm gonna keep saying Merry Christmas. I don't believe people.
Oh, you're going bad. It's like I can hear you, but you're like all I don't know, all noise and stuff. Are you close to something that? Huh? Al? Are you there? We're having problems again. What? Wait, I'm sorry. Tech guy. What? Okay. Leave you Ferber. I said Merry Christmas to all of my 100 employees. Oops. No oops about it. That's kind of what we're talking about. We have celebrated Christmas.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, you're back, Al. I can hear you. Okay. There? Yeah. You there? Okay. No, I was just saying that leave you Ferber said I said Merry Christmas to all of my 100 employees. Oops. And then Cater and Rebel, the origin of politically correct. Oh yeah, we're gonna tell you. Actually comes from communism in the Soviet Union, where if a person said something that the party didn't agree with, then you were guilty of political crimes.
There you go. I'm not politically correct. I think people have become way too sensitive to, you say this is, you don't say it that way anymore. We said it that way for years. I said Merry Christmas. I grew up, this is my country. This is something that we have in the country. If I offend other people, I don't mean to offend you. I'm just practicing customs and culture, the belief that I do. If I go over to China,
we're still, you're still coming through bad.
Okay.
I don't know what's hot. Now you're okay.
Yeah, I'm okay. If I go to China and they say, well, we don't celebrate Christmas, say, but I do. Are they going to change everything for me? Heck no. They're not going to change anything for me. It's like everybody is like so sensitive, and we have to be so politically correct. That's part of losing our country, in my opinion. There have been people that have been put in jail because they wouldn't take down a nativity scene. When did all that start? I mean, I say to my customers, happy holidays. I don't know. Have a great holiday. I don't know who celebrates Christmas or not. But I'm not there to offend anybody.
But by you doing that, And I'm not saying that's a bad, happy holidays. Some people like to say happy holidays when they put Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's,
Hmm.
and they're like, oh, happy holidays. But I mean, aren't you in a way trying to be politically correct?
Well, I'd say have a great holiday. I'm trying. No, I'm trying not to offend anyone. But my point is, that's what I said to begin with. If somebody wants to have a company party and call it a holiday party, I can go with that. But when a company says you can't say to Bob over here, Merry Christmas, we don't say that on our company anymore. Oh yeah, I do. If I know that you celebrate Christmas, but because we have different people from different parts of the world and different religions, that I can't say it to somebody where somebody can hear it. I'm not saying it to someone over there that doesn't celebrate Christmas. I'm saying Merry Christmas to my friend Bob, but my boss says, you can't say Merry Christmas anymore. The hell if I can't. Yeah, I
Well,
will.
when you go to a Christmas party, you know, maybe they rented a hall and there's a Christmas tree there and Christmas decorations and all the food. I mean, I don't know what a religion would find wrong with that because we're not talking about Christ in this
Right.
party. We're
I don't
not
know.
celebrating Christ at the party.
I
We
don't
have a
know.
Christmas tree
Yeah.
and food.
I don't know too many Christmas office parties where, they've got, maybe live music playing, people are dancing, there's an open bar, and all of that. I don't really see those people. I don't think that's what, celebrating the birth of Christ was about. So I wouldn't take it so seriously. If somebody says, Merry Christmas, if somebody says to me, I don't know, I'm just not that sensitive about it. But we've changed
Well,
all these
why
little
did we change?
terms so that we don't, you know, to be politically correct, because everybody's become so sensitive. You can't call this person this. You can't call this person that. We have a new term now that we have to use. Oh, for years we used a different term, but now it's not right. And now you're going to, insult people. You
Well,
know.
when my sons were young and in grade school, because that's when you have the parties, grade school.
Mm-hmm.
And I was room mom, and you're getting everything ready, and you get a note from at that time. I remember getting a note from one boy's mother, and she said, we're Jehovah Witnesses. We don't celebrate Christmas. Could you have my son go to the library? You know. So before the Christmas party, I would actually walk him down, would give him stuff to read and draw and color, and sometimes a parent would send something in. We walked him down to the library, and the librarian was there, and he sat there at a table, and colored or whatever he wanted, right? And then we had the party, and he would come back. My point is, Jehovah Witness Jehovah Witnesses. That's a religion where they don't celebrate Christmas. So okay, they just ask for their child to be removed. Why is it now that you cannot have what you call a Christmas party in the grade schools, and you can't, at least
Mm-hmm.
not where I live? You have to say it's a holiday party. When did we change, and what person or group changed it? And not wait, when we start catering, I'm sorry, to every nationality, then we've lost ourselves as a country because we have celebrated Christmas. We say Merry Christmas. And now when we can't, I mean, we always say, this is the melting pot, this country, and it is. And I talk about some of my relatives that came over here from a different country and learned our language, and their kids learned our language. And now we have to, while we have to respect them and their different cultures, yes, but why and when did we change it? We changed it. Everything about us, we changed. We can't pray in school anymore. We can't say Pledge of Allegiance in the schools anymore. We have to have holiday parties. You can't even call a Halloween party today a Halloween party because somebody is offended. Well, where does it stop? And where's our culture at? Where's the United States at? That we used to pray in schools, that we used to say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, and you have all the people against the football players, kneeling for the national anthem, but no one says anything that we can't pray in our schools anymore, or we can't say the Pledge of Allegiance. When and who stopped that? How? Okay, we lost him again. You know what? He's obviously having problems, so we're going to wrap it up. So I'm very sorry. I love, huh? It's Chris Johnson. We can all agree that Christianity won the war. If you don't agree, what year is? What year is it? It will be funny if one day we start using the Islamic calendar or the Chinese in the year of the monkey. It's all changed in the 90s. Several court cases in the 90s got rid of traditional activities and brought in the new world. And I guess that's what I'm asking. It's like, what person or group in the 90s, you know, they changed it? Why'd they change it? You know, you don't go to China and say, hey, you know, we're not going to celebrate the monkey or the year of the rat or the year of the dinosaur. What do you mean you're not going to celebrate it? That's what they do in China, you know, but yet here we have to stop it all. You know, we have to stop celebrating this. We get in trouble if we say Merry Christmas. We get told off if we say Merry Christmas. You know, some jobs don't allow you to say Merry Christmas. I just don't know who started it, who stopped it from happening, you know. It was atheists that got rid of religion. One atheist. Was it Madam O'Hara or something? She's dead now. Yeah, one atheist, one woman, to my knowledge, stopped prayer in school. How is that even possible? How is it possible that one person says, I don't like it, so we're not going to do it? You know, we get so upset as a nation that football players are kneeling at the flag when it isn't a law or a requirement to stand for the national anthem. It's respect for the flag, but it's not a law. It's just something we started doing. And so we get all upset over that. And I'm not saying it's a pretty thing to see, you know, men or women, you know, just purposely kneel, but it is their right to do it. But yet all these other things, can't say Merry Christmas, can't have a Christmas party. I don't understand why we're giving in to any culture. You know, we have to respect the religions in this country, and we do. But we're changing who we are as a country, in my opinion. I don't know who gets it through, who allows it to happen. Murray versus Cortlet lawsuit, which led to a landmark Supreme Court ruling ending official Bible reading in American public schools in 1963. Well, when I was in grade school, we still had prayer. So, I guess 63. And when my sons went to grade school, there was no prayer. There was no standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. But where does it stop? Now it's don't say Merry Christmas. You know, it's Happy Holidays. I just don't know where it stops. You know, we can't convert to every culture that comes over here. Like I say, when you go to China, you don't tell them, wait, you got to say Merry Christmas and you have to do this and you have to do that. No, they celebrate their New Year's at a different time than we do, and they have the year of the monkey and they've had the year of the rat and the year. We don't go over there and interfere with that. We want to be over there. We accept it, and you're welcome here, no matter what country you're from. But you have to accept the United States, and we've lost it. And it's I will say Merry Christmas to anybody. And if I offend you, okay, I'm sorry, but I will say Merry Christmas because that's what I want to say we celebrate Christmas. We celebrate in God we trust. And on that, because my Al's not coming back, I guess. Um, so we'll end it, and I apologize for him, and we'll get it working. And I thank you guys for all your comments. You guys were, you blew me away with your comments. I thank you so much. And I hope you join in next Monday at 6 o'clock. And we welcome anything you want us to talk about. We'll talk about anything you want to talk about. So thank you very much. Have a great week. And hopefully we'll hear from you next Monday at 6 o'clock. Have a good week.